everybody, it is Melanie Mitro and Katie Ersta, and we are the hosts of the Make Chic Happen podcast.
And this podcast is for you, friend. We're going to dive into the skills, mindset, and systems you need to build a successful social media presence, and it supports your business goals.
All right, and I am Melanie Mitro, one of the co-hosts, and I have left my full-time career in early intervention to be a stay-at-home mom, and I'm seriously craving something more.
All right, and I'm Katie. I am a stage 4 cancer survivor. I absolutely love all things storytelling, and I was a teacher who truly just wanted to get the groceries paid for. Never in a million years did I see what would happen with this business.
Oh my gosh, and here we are, 10 years later, and we have built multi-million-dollar businesses from our laptop, from our kitchen tables, basically anywhere that you have Wi-Fi. And the cool part is now we get to teach other people how to do the same.
So just 2 female entrepreneurs who are wives, moms, and we're also besties who want to take you on the journey right alongside us to help you build a business that you love and a life that you desire.
All right, so come on in, check out today's episode.
Well, hey everyone, it is Katie and Melanie of the Make Chic Happen podcast here with another episode that is more conversational based on one of the comments we got on a recent webinar, the workshop we did about goal setting, which was phenomenal, by the way. We had so much fun doing that workshop because we love talking about goal setting, and it's a huge part of actually what we're doing in the community throughout the month of January. But one of the comments we got, and it was so funny because as we were doing this workshop, I just happened to see the chat bar, which we usually don't pay much attention to until the very, very end. But for some reason, somebody made a comment that really caught my attention immediately. And that comment was, I don't want to share my goals because I'm afraid others will see me fail.
Yeah.
And at first I thought, okay, I'm going to address that. And I kind of just sort of said, okay, put this in the back of your mind. But then I noticed the chat bar blowing up with more people saying the same exact thing about, what if people see me fail? What if I put it out there and then I don't achieve it? And I don't know why, but that really caught my attention as this is something that's stopping a lot of people from even starting. So we wanted to address that sort of head on today on the podcast.
And even after that webinar, we kicked off a mastermind yesterday. And what was the one thing that one of the girls said? It was like, I'm afraid to share my vision. I'm afraid to share my vision with my team because I'm like afraid. I've failed in the past. I've had people that quit. Like what's difference is it going to make? So it's across the board. People are really afraid to like proclaim it and put it out there. So that's what we're going to do today is we're really going to talk about like how to navigate through that, but also why it's important. And so why is it important? I guess for me, when I'm thinking about that question it's that level of accountability. When you actually say out loud, this is what I'm going to do this year, it kind of it's accountability first of all, right? You're kind of putting yourself out there and you're saying, okay, if I tell the world that I'm going to do it, now I'm not just accountable to myself, but I'm accountable to the people that I said it to. And really, it's more of like, watch me. Like, this is going to happen. I'm going to show you how to make this goal. You're going to see me take the action steps, that imperfect action along the way. Like it's really kind of putting a stake in the ground. It's really step number 1.
Yep, I'll agree with that.
Right? And people don't, especially when it comes to building a business, if you come out of the gate like we did with Chic Influencer, we're starting a new business. We kind of put a stake in the ground. But we had some people that were our like besties and people that already knew us and trusted us and liked us. But some people were like, oh, that's cute. That little side business they're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
But as they watched us, it built the trust.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I also think on top of accountability, I think you become a trailblazer. So you become the hope that other people have for actually changing their life in some way. So it's been cool over the past 3 years as we've been growing Chic Influencer. At first, people were kind of like, that's interesting. Or they were kind of like, that's cute, as you put it. But now we're starting to see a lot of people actually asking us about what we did to start, how we've been able to scale it, how we delegate, how we actually manage the team. And so the logistics of how we did it, people are very curious about now because they saw us pave the way.
Right.
And I think for anyone who's setting a goal for themselves, if you look at it in a very selfless way and say, maybe if I do this, I'm actually giving somebody else hope and inspiration to be able to do the same.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's like, when early on, some of the first goals that I set for myself, like when I was proclaiming, I'm going to like go to the top, right? And and I remember making this post on Facebook, and I had just achieved a rank in the business. Sure. I mean, it was early. Those of you that know the Beachbody world, diamond, right? Yeah. So it was like diamond. And I remember achieving that diamond rank, thinking in the back of my mind, I'm like, I have like 1 or 2 people that are actually working the business alongside of me. But I like made this very bold post, and I said, I've just achieved the leadership rank in our company. I'm so excited. I'm so excited what the future has to hold. Like, our team is moving forward. We're going places. We're taking it to the top. You can either get on the train, right, and come with us, or this train is leaving the station without you. And so even though I didn't have a ton of experience leading, but I proclaimed it, and I said I was going to do it, and I said I was, and it created magnetizing energy. Yeah. And so people were like, what is this? They kind of leaned in a little bit closer. Even if they didn't say anything, they still leaned in, right? It brought more energy to the party.
Right. And as one of those people from the outside looking in and going, I don't know what she's doing. I don't know what this is all about. I remember seeing like those words, not knowing what it meant, but knowing that it was something that she had proclaimed, and saying to myself, well, if she can, maybe I can too. Yeah. And I want to point out that one thing Melanie did at the very, very beginning, and to this day still continues to do, and we both continue to do, she was consistent. She didn't just proclaim the goal in January, but she made it very evident that she was working towards the goal in January, February, March, and so on throughout the year. And it was about a year after I first saw her talk about the goals that I actually joined her in the network marketing business. And had she just said, I am going to work towards this goal and never mention anything again, I wouldn't have joined her. I just wouldn't have been interested, because that whole time she was planting the seed for me. Yeah. And so in that very if you look at your goals kind of in a more selfless way, as a not what's in it for me, but in a what can be for other people, I think that makes a huge difference.
And I love that you talked about consistent action, like consistency, because it's longevity. And so yes, it took people a year. And even on, was it the Empowering Vision Board workshop? We asked people it was the planner call we did. The planner call, when we talked about the Make Chic Happen planner, and we said, how long have you been following us, before you actually purchased the planner, right? How many of you watched us launch the first edition and didn't buy it, the second edition and didn't buy it, but now here you are, third edition, and you bought it? And there were quite a list of people.
It was cool.
That had waited. So we're not just blowing smoke when we reference the book, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Like, that is legit truth. And everybody is kind of looking for a secret, that secret to success, where you can just sort of flip a switch and the leads start coming in, the team just starts building automatically. Yeah. But it is consistent action and consistent excitement, consistent energy, vision, all of those things that attracts people. But it's having the courage to actually stand up and put the stake in the ground, whether it's, I'm going to show you my vision board, or I'm going to state my goals, I'm going to proclaim what I'm going to do, and then you're going to watch me take the action. Yeah. And I think that kind of leads to another point, and that really is, but some people go, I don't know what the action is. And I feel like we should talk a little bit about that, because that's also another reason why people don't actually put their goals out there.
Yeah. So the first thing that we kind of want to just discuss right now is, when you're looking at the action that you need to take in your business, it isn't always going to be cut and dry. Yeah. It's a trial and error sort of thing. So one thing that we did for our annual community members is we created a roadmap for each phase of the business. So if you are part of the Chic Influencer community, definitely take a look at that. If you missed out, there will be a wait list. We'll drop that wait list in the comment section or in the notes section as well. And so at each phase of your business, there are certain things that you want to be aware of. So identifying who your ideal client is one of the first key factors. Second thing is knowing exactly what the goal is and then saying, here are the things that I need to do to be able to achieve that goal. And at the end of the day, if you're in sales, you have to be willing to address what your products and services or experience are. You need to be able to invite people into what you have to offer, whether that's a physical location, into your organization, or into some type of group, or actually just what the product is itself. And then you have to be willing to do certain things like follow up with people, grow your email list. You need to be willing to do all of those things to be able to actually see growth. And what we often find is we might do one or two of those things, or you might have people who say, but I am showing up on social media, but what's going on in the back end? And even in the Make Chic Happen Planner, one thing that we created within that is the actual income producing activity tracker, which is no matter what business you are in, it's a simple way to keep everything sort of together in terms of what do I need to do to make sure the goal that I have set for myself is being met by the action that I am taking in my business. And your action is trackable. And we say it here all the time.
We do.
Tracking reveals trends. Trends reveal the truth, and the truth creates the change. And if we aren't tracking, we're really not in the know of our business.
Right. It is. It's so true. And then when you're tracking and you're doing the activities, you're not just checking off the box. You're very aware. And so as you're, for example, going out there and networking or connecting, initiating connections, you're always saying, like, is this working? Are people following me back? Am I starting actual conversations? Are they the right people? And so it's this level of awareness that within each of the activities that you're like, is it producing, or is it, and not necessarily immediate results, but am I seeing that glimmer of hope that is actually working? And then if it's not, you're getting curious about how to actually make it work. And so we didn't create the income producing activity tracker just because we wanted to fill up another page on, in the Make Chic Happen planner. It's something that has worked very systematically for the two of us and for the hundreds and thousands of people that we mentor. And there's a book that I recently was leafing through as I was looking for content. It's called GoPro. So I was in there, and so a lot of people are like, but that doesn't work, right? Or that process doesn't work. And in that book, they talk about if there is a process or a system they use, like if a network marketing company, for example, has people in the organization that are able to sell the product and they're able to be successful. It's not that the products are broken, it's that you're not doing it correctly. And they do the same thing with the compensation plan. If there's somebody in the organization or people in the organization that are making a lot of money on the compensation plan's not broken. It's that, and there's not a compensation plan for Katie, for Melanie, for Matt. It's that we're not using it right. And it's the same thing with activities. When we tell you these are the activities to build a successful business, you can't argue, no, it's not. There's something else out there, because it does work. It's just your approach might not be spot on. And that might be a hard truth, but that's the reality. The reality is that you have to go pro at each of those actions on that list in order to get to the goal and be willing to be disciplined along the way.
I think that's so important to note, because it's kind of like admitting user error.
I know.
And it's so funny because my boys, they got Legos for Christmas, and there's been a couple times, and they're pretty intense Legos, but there's a couple times in the actual the instructions that the kids will go, that's not how it works. That doesn't actually work. And they'll say that. And then you kind of take a step back. You take 2 or 3 steps back, and you realize you missed a key piece. The same often happens with our business, is if we aren't really paying attention to the things we need to do, we often miss a key piece in actually getting the results we want to attain. But that also brings up another point. And it's mid-January at the time of listening to this. And after 9-10 years of experience with Januaries, here's how it goes. We're ready. We're key. We're honed in. We bought the planners. We created our schedule. We know that we're going to go hard in our business. There is no plan B, no other option. 10x, give me all the things. And then Mid-January, we get a couple objections. Yeah. And then our kids get sick, or we have this schedule error, or we have all of these things sort of pop up. And then all of a sudden, that motivation we had in January at the beginning when we were riding high is like really low.
Yeah.
Totally. So I want to talk for a minute about how you think, what do you think of the word willpower and all of the things that encompass?
Well, I mean, willpower gets you to a certain point, and I think that's what gets you going. But it's really important that, and I say this a lot, you're no different, and if we just use January, for example, you're no different on January 1st than you were on December 31st. You're the same person. You have the same insecurities, the same fears, the same worries. You just have set new goals. Yes. And magically we wake up on January 1st thinking we are physically different, right? And so we have this willpower, this want power to make this change. And it gets us usually to about Saturday. All right. And if you're trying to do, and if you're in health and fitness, it probably gets you to Thursday or Friday morning where you're like, this is hard. I've been, eating salads and drinking my water. And I usually, when you're used to like a glass of wine or going out, for pizza on Friday nights, the reality is, oh crap, the behavior that I exhibited before January 1st no longer serves me, but this is what I do. Yeah. This is who I am. We go out for pizza and beer on Friday night. And so now it's this sudden reality of I have to change my behavior. And so the willpower goes away and we want to revert back to who we were before, right? Because that's easy. That's comfortable, right? That's what we know and we love. And so it's understanding, it's having a full understanding that yes, we can go gung-ho about changing on January 1st, but we also have to understand that we can't just will our way to the goals. We actually have to change our being. We have to change our state. We have to change the way we think about things that affect the goals. And so if you can get granular, kind of get below the surface and say, okay, how do I react in situations, and how do I react to failure? In the past, I've shut down when I get overwhelmed, but I'm not going to do that this time. How's it going? And we actually think about the challenges we know we're going to face and create a plan before that. Yeah. That allows us to, and it doesn't hurt any less when we get there. Yeah. We just now are aware of what we're going through, right? And then we can choose to make a change. We can choose to, make the change, or we can choose to go back to the way we were. Yeah. Right?
And I almost wish that even after you listen to this podcast episode, that if you take anything away from this call, it's really what Melanie said. It's not that hard times won't happen. It's not that there will be days where you do not feel like taking the action or getting out of bed or getting on the treadmill or going to that income producing activity tracker. All of those things are key to your success. So I almost would encourage you to go back to that section that Melanie just addressed about willpower and write yourself some notes. Yeah. And ask yourself about the behaviors. Ask yourself about what you are willing to do, even if it gets hard. And start tracking your own trends. Yeah. Start becoming aware of when you shut down. Start becoming aware of when you make excuses. Start becoming aware of when things aren't working the way that you anticipate, what you actually do. Yeah. And I really think that if you become aware of it, you can actually stop it in its tracks, so you can get back to doing what you set out to do in January and achieve the goals that you want.
Yeah, and I said this the other day, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
I often think about the workout insanity and how hard that was, because it was insane. But you're right, it absolutely is insane.
It is, and so it's like, why would we, I know it's hard to change, but why would we keep doing the same things or keep reverting back to the same old behaviors when it's so painful and we want to change so much? Why not endure a short period of discomfort for long-term benefits, rewards, success, right?
I love it.
Yeah.
This was a really heavy call. There's just so many great nuggets that we hope to take away. But the reason that Melanie and I do this podcast, the reason that we show up every single week, the reason we're consistent with this is because your goals matter to us. Yeah. We genuinely from the bottom of our hearts, we're rooting for you because we know that when you succeed, when you thrive, you're making an impact on the world around you.
Yeah.
And if we can ever help you in any way through whether the planner, another podcast episode, the webinars that we host, the communities that we have, make sure that you reach out. Check out the notes today in today's podcast episode and let us know what you think about this episode.
All right, you guys. Thanks so much for hanging with us. Let's make 2022 the best year ever. So if you loved today's episode, make sure you head over to wherever you listened to the episode today and leave us a rating and review. And also take a little screenshot and tag us on Chic Influencer. We'll feature you in our stories. Plus, we'd love to get your feedback and hear from our listeners.
Until next week, let's make chic happen.